I want to talk about what has happened in the last week or so. And in the last week or so, we have had some devastating hurricanes blow through the southeastern part of the country. And if you've never experienced a hurricane, and I live in the state of Florida, so I've experienced them, but luckily not in an area that is hit by them in the areas that they are hit in. But I understand the dangers of these hurricanes. I understand the damage that they can do, not just to property, but to people's overall lives and way of being. In fact, they take lives, and they are very, very, very serious. And, I'm again lucky to be in a part of the state of Florida where we're certainly going to get some debris. We're going to get wind. We're going to get rains, sometimes heavy, sometimes light. Very lucky for me, Milton passed through and we got light rain and about 20 mile per hour winds. Did not lose any power, luckily, but during Helene, we did lose power for about 16 hours. Winds got up to about 40 miles an hour. So, and this is dead in the middle of the night, too. I mean, it is midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m., and hearing these winds howling and seeing everything outside blowing, it's scary, even at 40 miles an hour. But imagine 80, 100 miles an hour. It's dangerous stuff. And that's why people in the Tampa Bay area of Florida were asked to evacuate. It was a mandatory evacuation to get out of there. The mayor of Tampa even said, if you stay, you will die, because this hurricane is dangerous and it is nasty. In fact, if you watched any of the news, where the Tampa Bay Rays play, their stadium, the entire roof was blown off of their stadium. And that stadium's been up since, I want to say 1990, 89, 1990. So it has sustained many hurricanes and many heavy winds. But this time, Milton came through and blew the roof literally right off the place. But, I'm bringing this up too because now things as serious as hurricanes have entered into our politics, and it is a political thing now. So not just something as serious as COVID, we went through COVID, that had to be political. We're starting to get to a point in this country where there's nothing that could happen that does not have some sort of political element to it that'll just make you throw your hands up and go, I don't know what we're doing anymore. We are absolutely, completely lost as a society. And in fact, just over the last week, you probably have heard Donald Trump and a lot of the people on the right give out mis and disinformation about FEMA, and that FEMA was out of money, that the government was doing nothing in Florida, in Georgia, and in North Carolina to help the people there, and they're just letting them suffer. And a big reason for that is because the money that was supposed to go to them went to Ukraine instead. And that is just so incredibly dangerous and so incredibly awful that if you have the capacity during a time where people truly need help to say this as somebody that wants to be president of the United States, if you say it and you work just at a convenience store and you say it, that makes you a horrible person. But if you're a person that is looking to be the president of the United States, you're obviously saying this to gain some sort of political points, but what you're saying has zero truth to it. In fact, you could just listen to all of the governors in each one of these states and said, yeah, I heard from President Biden. He said he'll give us everything that we asked for. In fact, what Biden did in pretty much all of these cases is that he set it up prior to the hurricane coming. So when they were asking for relief and asking for help, they got it instantly. People were getting $750 into their accounts instantly. And that's some more disinformation. Oh, here's $750. Good luck. That's not how it works. They initially gave them $750 instantly so they can get things for their children, so they can get things to buy and to be able to make it for a period of time until they were able to get more aid and more help. But the fact that we have leaders out there, congressional people out there telling lies about what is happening with this hurricane and people actually believing it makes what is happening in this country absolutely disgusting. And the fact that you could even consider voting for anybody that would do that, to me, is immoral and it is disgusting. And somebody please explain to me everything I just said, how you justify that. How do you justify what Donald Trump and what JD Vance and what Marjorie Taylor Greene and what all these whack jobs are saying about a hurricane where people desperately need help? I have seen it personally in this state where there has been horrific damage. I grew up in the Daytona Beach area, and I've seen Daytona Beach. I still have friends, best friends, and family that live there, and damage has been done that has been so awful that I mean, I remember when a hurricane came, I was 2 years ago in Daytona Beach, and it was months later. And I went there to visit, walking up and down the beach, and the damage that happened from that hurricane was still there. And it was bad. And again, where we have these leaders out here saying that is just absolutely disgusting. Recently, there have been some really outrageous forget about FEMA, because where that is really dangerous is when you're telling people that FEMA has no money for you, then you have these people who are on the Trump side and they believe it. So they go, well, we believe it. I heard President Trump tell me that FEMA's out of money and they gave it to Ukraine and they gave it to Lebanon. So, I guess we're screwed. And, this damn Kamala Harris and Joe Biden need to be put in jail for their discretions. And on top of that, I guess I'm not even going to contact FEMA because they're out of money. That's what I've been told. I mean, how consciously you could do that, to me, again, is disgusting. If somebody can explain to me how there's a disagreement with what I'm saying, love to hear it. Love to hear what you have to say. But there have been a few people that I've just seen recently. One, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is an actual lawmaker. I got to share this. I mean, these are people who are talking about the hurricane. I want to make sure this is the right one. Okay. So here's Marjorie Taylor Greene recently. Yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. So Marjorie Taylor Greene wants you to think that speculation as to they were, but she also said they had space lasers and they were Jewish and they were causing forest fires. I don't know if she's talking about Jewish people. I don't know who they is. If she's talking about the Democrats, who knows? But it doesn't matter who they is. Read that tweet and tell me that's not batshit crazy. Just tell me that you could look at that and go, there is some substance to it, and we got to give her some sort of credit. Here's another one. I don't know who this woman is, but her name is Candace Taylor, and apparently some people do know who she is. She's probably some sort of right-wing influencer, but this is her. The weather can and is being manipulated. Wake up. Stop being ignorant or plain stupid. The irony here that we have somebody saying stop being ignorant or plain stupid, and that what she's calling somebody like me and probably most of you watching this, stop being ignorant or plain stupid. The weather can be manipulated. She goes on to say the most important election in the history of America is in 30 days. Pray. Georgia voting has been compromised and don't know if we will be able to get all of our early voting days in. Now a hurricane is coming straight for Florida. These two states are necessary for a Trump victory. No coincidence. And then she went into some more God and Jesus stuff that, again, if God and Jesus are on your side, I mean, obviously, I would imagine that they or he, whoever it is more powerful and probably can take that hurricane that George Soros and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, I'm sure is involved. I'm sure he's more powerful. If he's not, then I don't know. I mean, we might have to question the whole thing. I personally am not questioning it. If there really is a God and there is a Jesus, my guess is they're more powerful than the people that he actually created and that he would be able to steer these hurricanes away. But according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, according to Candace Taylor, and one more of these idiots, this guy is somebody that I was in the car business for a while. And this guy had been shoved down my throat for quite some time as a sales expert. He teaches you how to sell. And I do remember listening to him. In fact, he came to us and we saw him live. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, this guy is so full of shit. And I'm learning nothing from him, but this guy's name is Grant Cardone. He's another one of these grifters who go out there and try to tell people how to sell, but he's a con artist. He's a lifelong artist. And this is obviously like why he's a big Donald Trump fan. But this is him. He is from the state of Florida too, and from Tampa. He grew up on the Gulf of Mexico watching storms since I was a young boy. I have never seen a storm start here and go east, which is ridiculous because there are numerous storms that started in the Gulf and went straight through the state of Florida. Do you think government is using technology to manipulate weather patterns and storms? Guys, I honestly do not care who it is that you're voting for. I don't. Vote for Donald Trump all you want to. Do you believe that this is in any way possible? And if it is possible, did they just understand? Did this technology just come through today? Did we just figure this out months ago? Did we have this technology 4 years ago? Did we have it 8 years ago? If we did, then why didn't we use it 8 years ago? This is some of the most batshit crazy things I have ever heard. And this race is virtually tied. This is the side. These are the people who are spewing this nonsense. And this race is somehow tied. I mean, I've said before, even if you have at the very least an eighth grade education, let's say you went through eighth grade and said, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm dropping out of school. I'm getting out. I think I've learned enough. I would contend that if you had at least that eighth grade education, that you would look at this and go, what is wrong with these people? How stupid do they think I am? Yeah, I didn't go through 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I didn't have any college. I don't really watch the news. I don't watch anything educational. But even for me, this is beyond stupid. And for this to be passed along from Congress people and people who are influential in some respect. Again, I don't know who Candace Taylor is. I've heard the name and I know she's influential on the right side. And I know Grant Cardone has been somewhat, he's like a C minus D list famous person for his if you're in sales, you know who Grant Cardone is. So, for these people to spread this nonsense is just, I mean, I can't explain it, but our governor, Ron DeSantis, this is again what's so offensive about these people. Ron DeSantis always wanted to play tough guy, and he always played tough guy as governor here in the state of Florida. He's yelling at students, he's yelling at journalists, and he got this from the Donald Trump school of politics. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to yell at journalists. I'm going to yell at anybody that disagrees with me. I'm going to use the word woke 700 million times to prove that I am some anti-woke hero. And this is why Florida is so great, because if you come here, Target is not going to have 4 t-shirts on it that celebrate Gay Pride Month or whatever the hell it is he thinks that is such a badass. But here he is being a badass about the hurricane. And this is a time, too, where Floridians need your help. This is not a time where we need you to put on your best professional wrestling promo. But this is Ron DeSantis recently about Hurricane Milton and how FEMA, it has nothing to do with it. This is all me.
People have asked me about, is FEMA going to do this? Just let me be clear. In Florida, we run the show. FEMA's not running the show. We will utilize them to support some of the things we're doing, but you are not going to see FEMA running amok in Florida. I know that's been out there on the internet. That is not going to happen. I'm the sheriff that's in charge here, and we will make sure to protect you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, he's going to protect us, just like Donald Trump's going to protect women, and all these so-called tough guys are going to protect us all. But let me tell you about Ron DeSantis and about what a pussy he is. When big bad Ron DeSantis had to run for president of the United States, he couldn't say anything about daddy. He would not say a bad word until somebody got in his ear and said, "Hey, Ron, if you really want to be in this race and you really want to be the Republican nominee for president of the United States, you can't keep bowing down to Donald Trump. You got to show a little bit of balls." And then when he got to that point, which was way too late, it was just so Ron DeSantis-ish. And I say that in a very demeaning and insulting way, because Ron DeSantis at the end of the day is a big fat pussy. He talks tough. He tries to put his shoulders up and acts tough towards like I said earlier, against press and students. But when it really came time to put the hammer down and say, you know what, I really want to be president of the United States, screw Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump was clowning him every day and was insulting him every day, Ron DeSantis didn't have it. He looked like a little tiny boy. And that's why he had 0% chance to overtake Donald Trump and to dethrone him. When the people in the beginning said that if anybody can do it, this is the guy. But you know what? He didn't have the balls enough. He wasn't man enough to stand up to a guy who really, at the end of the day, is easy to stand up to. I know that might be hard to believe, but it's not. Donald Trump is easy to stand up to, and you can see it when Kamala Harris just absolutely destroyed him in that debate. All she had to do was say little things like, go to his rallies. You're bored. People are leaving. That just completely threw this clown so far off his game. He had no idea what hit him. He had no clue because nobody came at him like that. And Ron DeSantis had that I don't know if he definitely not the ability, but he had the opportunity to do it, and he didn't. And Ron DeSantis now wants to try to get his big boy pants back on because he was probably embarrassed by the way Donald Trump treated him. He was probably screamed at by his wife, telling him he's not a man anymore. And he probably feels like he's got to gain this back. And the way he's going to gain it back is by, again, yelling at FEMA like he's some kind of big, bad, tough guy. Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, none of these people are tough. None of them. They are big pussies disguised as tough guys. And unfortunately, there are too many men out there who think they are tough guys and think, I'm with them because if I go on the other side, I'm not a tough guy like they are. But I got news for you. If you think that way, you're not a tough guy either. You're in the same ballpark as these wannabe tough guys. There's nothing tough about you. You are somebody that needs it. It was just mental health day yesterday. And yesterday would have been a great time for people like Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump and everybody that bows down to these kind of people. It would have been a great day for you to celebrate Mental Health Day, because you would have been able to just take a second and go, you know what? I got to admit, I've got some sort of issues, no matter where it came from. And if you do, I feel for you. I really hope you get the help that you really need, because being a pretend tough guy throughout your life has got to be exhausting. I'm sure it's not fun for you that you have to keep up this ruse constantly, that you associate yourself with toughness and manliness by associating yourself with people like Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, who currently have women in their lives who want, probably, I know Donald Trump's wife wants nothing to do with him, but he's not man enough to come out and say, look, you know what? It's over between her and I. She doesn't love me anymore. I screwed up somewhere. I don't know where it is. Got to move on. He's keeping up this ruse like she really is in love with him. She's not. And I suspect Ron DeSantis's wife is probably a little embarrassed by by his performance running for president, because it was hands down the most embarrassing run for president I've literally ever seen in my life. And I saw Jeb Bush run for president. This was a complete embarrassment. He's embarrassed. Trump should be embarrassed. And if you're voting for him because you think these guys are tough guys, you should be embarrassed. And I hope you get the mental health that you need, because it is important. And, again, I'm not trying to downplay any mental health or to make fun of you. I really am hoping that you get the help that you need. But finally, on this subject, again, this is why this is so dangerous. There's a gentleman who called into a show and was talking about his father-in-law, who was in one of these areas, whose home was destroyed and everything was destroyed during the hurricane. Listen to this phone call. And again, this goes to what I was saying earlier, and the dangers of these lies and misinformation, not just by some regular people, but by Congress people and by somebody who wants to be president of the United States. This is just downright sickening.
Father-in-law lives just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and he was badly damaged by Hurricane Helene. And he has refused all FEMA help because he's a hardcore Trumper. And he literally believes that if he accepts anything from FEMA, they're going to take his house. I don't understand how so many people are under the spell of this freaking con man. I don't understand it.
Well, it's absolutely heartbreaking about your father-in-law. I'm so sorry to hear it. I hope.
Dan, it's hard to even imagine it. I mean, he lost almost everything, and he's refusing all help from the federal government and complaining to us that he doesn't have food, that he doesn't have the stuff he needs, and yet he won't accept the help. What the hell are we supposed to do? We're not in a position to be able to fly across the country and help him. Yeah. There's people begging us to get him to accept help, and he won't do it.
Wow.
And I guarantee you I'm not the only one. I guarantee you I'm not the only one.
I wish there was something I could say as to, I don't know. Does he have access to any electronics where you could send him some information debunking this, and that he might?
We've done all of that. We've done all of that. We've sent him all the FEMA bulletins. We've sent him all the stuff from the fact checkers. He doesn't believe it. He thinks he just believes Trump. Literally, Dan, it's a cult. He's a cult member. I'm sorry to say it. He's a cult member. And he's my father-in-law, and it sucks.
Man, I mean, just stuff like that is heartbreaking. And even I can listen to the story and I can hear about the father-in-law. And of course, the instinct is just like, you just want to say, this guy, what a moron, what an idiot. But you also, there's something about people like that that you feel sorry for, that for some reason they have it in their brain that this guy, Donald Trump, is the end all be all. He is the God. He is everything that he says, is that you have to live by this. And if I don't live by this, then I am going basically in a way against an oath of our cult. And they never will see it that way. There are few people that were in that cult, got out of it, and now are speaking against the cult and speaking against what it's like to be in this ridiculous world where you believe that FEMA is just saying, screw you, I don't care, we're out of money. And you know why we're out of money? Because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took it all and gave it to Ukraine. So now you guys are on your own. Then you have people in Springfield, Ohio, who are worried that their pets are being eaten by Haitian migrants that are there illegally, when none of that was true. Literally, none of it was true. And I say this on the show, and you can see my comments on a lot of the clips that I play. A lot of them saying, well, just look at the interviews of the people who live in Springfield. And you just got to ask, okay, if it is happening all over the place, why isn't even Fox News and Newsmax and the craziest of crazy right-wing channels covering it? And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's not happening. It is just not happening. But we have people now. It is 2024 where people have access to all kinds of information, and you can get the truth if you truly feel like getting it. If you really want to get the truth, there's two different kinds of truth, unfortunately, now. The truth that is real and the truth that you want to hear. And people I know, I've heard it before. You're telling me, they're saying this to me, you're telling me that you're not just looking for your truth, that everything you say is true and everything that I'm saying is lying. I mean, and that is difficult to combat, because you could show them proof, and I can ask them, show me the proof, and they'll get a video of one crackpot from Springfield, Illinois saying, yeah, my pets were eaten, and there's absolutely no truth to it. There's no proof that there's not truth to it. That's what conspiracy theorists do too. That's what they're the king of. They're the king of taking morsels of something that has a ring of truth to it and then arguing it as if there is a possibility it can be true. And then when you try to argue with them, they just come back and basically say, well, you can't prove that it's not true. And you go into these circles and down these rabbit holes with these people. And again, it's just getting sad. And you wonder, do they really believe it? Or is it something that they just need to believe in their life for whatever reason it is? There are, somebody has said this before, and I believe it, is that the study one day of the psychology of either the Trump voter or the QAnon conspiracy theorists that we are seeing now, they're so prevalent. Conspiracy theorists, when I was growing up, those were the kind of people that you would just kind of shake your head and you'd just back away and you just go, okay, thanks, we'll see ya. Okay, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. And you get the fuck out of there. But now it's like mainstream. It is a good 30% of the population, which is a lot of people. It might even be more who buy into this nonsense. But the sad part is that a lot of these people may not even be buying into it. What they're doing is it satisfies something inside of them to where they're like, I don't care if it's true or not. This is gospel to me. This is life for me. This is now something that I feel something because of this. So no matter whether it's true or it's not true, guess what? In my world, it's true. And if you don't believe it, you're the idiot. And this is unfortunately where we're at. And we are having people who are going to be voting for the president of the United States based on this nonsense and the feeling of to whether or not it's true or it's not true. They now have this ingrained feeling that this is something that they need to battle for and they need to vote for to keep this going because it satisfies their life. But I've said this once and I'll say it every fucking time, is that when you vote for it, and if your guy happens to win, at some point you're going to have to face the music and you're going to have to look in the mirror and go, what did I do? How could I be so stupid? I had people all around me telling me how crazy I was and I didn't believe it. Now I'm screwed because I voted for somebody who laughs at me, who does not care about me, who has lied to me, and now we are screwed. And I'm telling you, this is not hyperbole. If Donald Trump wins, and if they win the House and the Senate, wave goodbye. I'm just telling you, wave goodbye to this country. You can laugh all you want to as a Trump person, but if you are somebody that does not make multi-millions of dollars a year, wave goodbye to this country, wave goodbye to your rights, wave goodbye to your paycheck, wave goodbye to everything. I'm just telling you. Project 2025, read it. If you're not going to read all 900 pages, read the main points, read the main things that go on in Project 2025. But anyway, I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face. We're only 3 weeks away until the election. Changing people's minds at this point probably isn't going to happen. If you are a diehard Trump fan, it's never going to happen. But what you want to see is some of these people who are independents. That's really who are the toss-up voters at this point. And if you are an independent, and an independent can at least be smart enough to discern between what is fact and what is absolute nonsense. And an independent can tell that migrants eating pets is absolute nonsense. And just based on the fact that you have a candidate who can actually make that up and insert it into a debate that migrants are eating pets with zero proof to it, just like there was zero proof of the election being stolen. There's zero proof of anything Donald Trump says, literally no proof at all of what he says. So hopefully enough independent voters see this and go, yeah, you know what? I don't necessarily love Kamala Harris, but I can't allow this. Can't allow this in our country. You know what? Maybe in 4 years, we'll still have a country if Kamala Harris is elected the president. But if I don't think she does a good job, maybe we can get somebody else in there, a Republican who is sane and is not talking about Hannibal Lecter and boats and sharks and eating pets and windmills and all this nonsensical stuff that we can reset in 4 years. If Donald Trump becomes president and they win the House and the Senate, there is no resetting in 4 years. And this is far from me wanting to ever say, I told you so. I don't want to tell anybody I told you so. But if this happens, I'm just telling you, it's not going to be good. I am just telling you, it is going to be really, really bad if Donald Trump wins and they win the House and the Senate. So, but guess what? Good news. It's not happening. Kamala Harris is going to win that election, regardless of what you heard,